It's great weather out here today. However, they're talking about we're gonna get a little rain. Like, man, come on. Need this San Diego sunshine to keep beaming through. But with that being said, I want to say thank you to those who are going to be coming in today. Please hit that thumbs up button for me. So I got two topics. Really, I'm just going to briefly speak about, and hopefully it can engage you to really think about some things. The first topic I want to talk about is in politics. So I'm watching the different news stations, including Fox, MSNBC, CBS, ABC. I'm just watching. I'm just, paying attention to some of the things that are occurring. And as I watch, I'm watching time rewind. I'm watching things go back to a time to where black people was really in a bad situation. Although haven't much really changed, but I'm watching this thing roll back. I'm watching them as they have gutted the Voting Rights Act. I'm watching them as they take funding from the historical black colleges. I'm watching them as they just ram through a lot of different laws that disenfranchise black people. I'm watching them as they continue to redline housing. I'm just watching this whole thing play out before my very eyes, and it seems as if some of us are putting our heads in the sand like this isn't really happening. And that leads me into the conversation regarding masonry and everything that follows. Because if you understand the concept and precepts of Freemasonry from a period of the 60s and 50s, how it was used to catapult, to protect, to put into play, to move things forward. It was truly used, because if you look at where black Masons had 80% of black Masons met at churches. I'm going to say this again. 80% of black Freemasons met at churches. I'm talking about in the early 70s, the 60s, and definitely the 50s. We did not have really a lot of us didn't have our own buildings. So that's where we met. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you
All
this
right.
morning?
I'm watching you walk on by.
Have a good day.
You too. Yeah, so it was, man, it's crazy. I don't know how many of you actually pay attention to what actually popping off. I'm like, pretty soon, you're going to have to live across the tracks. If you're not already living where you're living at, pretty soon it's going to be just that way again. And I'm watching it all play out. And it's crazy. It's crazy. So please participate in voting. Participate in your community events that's coming around. Participate. Get involved. That's all I can say is get involved. I try to stay as much involved with politics in my local community as possible. I try to attend different assemblies, different council meetings, different community meetings, to stay well informed, to stay well educated about what's happening and how this is going to affect not only my community, but me and my kids. Stay involved, get involved, stay involved. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into today's topic, the Ascending Master. The Ascending Master. And I'm quite sure some of you are asking, what in the heck is a Ascending Master? And I'm going to get into that because I think as I watch and pay attention to Freemasons in the various chat groups and a variety of other things that are taking place, and when you think of the Ascending Master, you have to think of how does one ascend. So when I look at a person who tells me they are a Mason, but the things you do as a individual doesn't represent the principal core or the principles of Freemasonry, then how can you tell me you're a Master Mason? how can you even tell me that you are a sublime master mason? Because there's a difference than being a master mason versus being a sublime master mason. A master mason takes the obligation, and a sublime master mason takes the oath. There's an oath, and then there's an obligation. And then what you do is that you find yourself under a triple tie to Freemasonry, to those brothers in your lodge, to that Grand Lodge, to those brothers who you have found to be worthy and well qualified. You then have a triple tie to them until he has been often tried, never denied, willing to be tried again, until you have found him worthy and well qualified as you are yourself. You have an obligation to that brother. Although I know brothers talk about the recognition thing, but that is a jurisdictional thing, and I get it. But when you're looking at Freemasonry, Freemasonry is not a jurisdictional thing. Freemasonry is an individual thing. And to have a person to ascend, when I say an ascending master, that tells me that he has mastered something regarding himself. What's up, buddy? Boom. He has mastered something about himself. Have you been able to master what you say? Have you been able to master your passions? Have you been able to, what have you mastered regarding yourself in order to ascend to the next level? If you haven't mastered anything in order to ascend to the next level, then no, you're not a master mason. And you're definitely not a sublime master mason, although you may have taken the oath and obligation, but you haven't mastered anything. You're still dealing with those same issues that you came in as a mason. You're still dealing with them. But until you are able to master those issues, then it's for naught. You get caught up in the rhetoric. You know, just as I have been caught up in the rhetoric, or anybody else. You get caught up in the rhetoric because you don't understand the precepts of when you say that you are a master mason or a sublime master mason. See, when you don't understand those two different terms and how they apply to you in your growth, then how can you ascend? You know, when I think about Christ and when he ascended, that means that he had became the master of himself. The master of himself. When he went out into the wilderness and he began to master himself. So when he came back and he was tempted, he had mastered himself. So when the ways of the world came upon him and said, look, if you will bow before me, I'll give you all of that. I've mastered all of that. He was an ascending master. When he said, mountain be thou removed, he was able to ascend and see that the mountain was definitely removed. That means that a problem that came before him, he can easily move the problem to the left or to the right so he can move straight and keep on the narrow path. That's an ascending master. And you can only get there by understanding the mere fact that this is a journey that you're going to have to really pay attention to. And if you're not, you're going to always find yourself going back and forth, that's including me too, going back and forth with individuals who's not worthy of your time and your energy. They're not worthy of your time and your energy. And one thing about time, it is so precious that you can't get it back once you have wasted it on somebody who's not even worthy of even your presence. And that is the uniqueness of understanding that when you become a master mason, an inner apprentice, a fellow craft, and all of these things are handed to you to study and to learn from. And you need to be able to go in and be able to pull something out of each one of those degrees and apply it to your life journey, because it is a journey. And once you do that, then you can completely understand that you're going to have to master some things in your life. You're going to have to master them. Because if you don't, you're going to always be a carpenter. Hear me clearly. If you're not able to master those things or some things in your life, you're going to always be a carpenter. See, a carpenter has working tools also. Because a carpenter is a builder also. But he's not a master builder. A carpenter works on small structural things. A carpenter comes in, he puts in the floor, maybe he'll do some painting, or maybe he will build a cabinet here or a dresser there, or maybe some other stuff. That's what the carpenter does. But when you become a master at being a carpenter, man, it's like a whole nother thing. That's just like when you become a mark master. You leave your mark on the things that you have mastered. And you can't do that until you have become an ascending master as far as a sublime degree of a master mason. There's a difference between a builder and a master builder. Absolutely. Absolutely. See, and I'm going to talk about that just for a second. Because when you say there's a difference between a builder and a master builder, because a master builder understands that everything must be what? Level, plumb, and square. He understands that. He gets it. Because he understands that you don't, when you lay that foundation, it needs to be solid. When you begin to set a plumb line and use the square and do, he gets it. He understands it because he knows that in order for that building that he is going to construct, or that it has to have that strong foundation. But what happens is, a lot of us who are Masons and Eastern Stars, I'm not leaving you out. No. I can't leave you out. My sisters, no. This is you too. But this is you on the 5 points. Sisters, this is you on the 5 points. This is the brothers on the first 3 degrees. This is you on the 5 points. See, because you go through that labyrinth and you must understand womanhood. You must understand all the things a woman goes through in order to show her greatness on those 5 points. And when you're not able to do that, then you just going, you're that light that's out of Matthews, it says, I've seen the star in the east and I've come to worship him. And you can say all of that all you want to, but you ain't seen nothing, because you have not understood what those 5 women really was trying to exclaim to you as far as being a woman. Not shaking your ass every time you want to go somewhere, but how to be the feminine side of the Mason. Because when you lay that compass and square in front of that star, it really shows you a 6-pointed star. You catch that on the way home. For you patrons who carry that compass and square within the center star. And if you draw the lines diagonally across, you have 6 points. That's a fact. You have the star. But you don't understand it because you're too busy, just as I once was, dealing with people who was not worth your time, instead of understanding the craft and the sisterhood for which you proclaim to be a part of. If you're going to really get in and drag this thing out, if you're really going to get in it and really understand it, man, it is prolific. It is absolutely that. But we must be able to do that individually, because everybody is not ready for the journey. They say they are. Oh man, I want to be a Mason. Oh, do you? Yeah, it's in my heart, brother. It's in my heart. You know, hey, you know how you heard them. It's in my heart, brother. I want to be a Mason. It's in my heart. But then when the shit hit the fan, you'll find that it was never in their heart. It was never in their heart when the shit hit the fan. I mean, when things really gets down to the nitty gritty. You know what I'm talking about. You've been there. When the thing really gets down to the nitty gritty, those who told you they'll be there for you, it's in their heart. It ain't in their heart. You know, when you needed them and it was 1 o'clock in the morning, you called and you was really in a serious position. I mean, you needed that brother. You needed that sister. No, it was never in their heart. Because when you made the call and they didn't heed to the call, and they understood that it was wee hours in the morning or it was late at night, and they just looked at, I get with him tomorrow, man. I get with him tomorrow. You never know. That brother or that sister called you because they needed something. You know, that's why they call you. Because you, that guy, you, that young lady, you said that you would be there for them. That's what you said. You said that. But then when it came down to it, You were not. So it was never in your heart. Never. It was always about what you can get out of it. It was never in your heart. So as we look at the ascended master, he understands that. The ascended master knows that it is in their heart. The ascended master knows that masonry transcends. It's universal. It's just not here where he's at. It's all over the world. So he knows that he's able to travel truly into foreign countries and truly receive master wages. And the ascended master knows that because what he's done, he's mastered some things in his life. He's done that. He's looked at it and said, you know what? I'm going to master how I can treat another person with dignity and respect. I don't always have to agree with you, but I can treat you with dignity and respect. I can do that because that's what I want in return. Now, if you can't give me that in return, then I must move on. That's what an ascending master does. He does not sit and debate with those who are not worth his time, because there's never going to be an understanding. There's never going to be a time where you say, I agree to disagree. I see it from your point of view, but I'm going to stick with what I got. That's an ascending master, you know. Ascending from the ascending from a dead level to a living perpendicular. Absolutely. And absolutely. And although there are many people who have gone through this ritualistic ceremonies, who's been raised from a dead level to a living perpendicular, although they have talked all of that stuff, they have yet to ascend. They have yet to be transformed. They have yet to become master builders, sublime master masons. They have yet to become, as that brother said, I think, that brother said master builder. They're just builders, but they're not a master builder. See, a person who's just a builder, he can build anything, but it doesn't have the touch of a master. The wind can come by and blow that over. But when you're dealing with a master builder, he understands that it must be able to withstand the winds, the waters, the fire. He understands that. So he's going to add some things to it. If you're in a place where there's a lot of fires, he's going to make sure that that house has some resistance to fire. If he knows that he's building where it's going to flood, he knows he has to build that house a little higher so when the floods come, it doesn't come in the house. He knows that he's going to build the roof a little stronger so it doesn't leak. That's what a master does. A master builders understand that. But if you're talking about a builder, he just builds. He don't care where it builds. He just do it. And it's a wrap. But an ascending master is that master builder. He's that guy, you know. And if you're looking at it from a sister point of view, she is all of those 5 points that you talk about. She has done those things which has been called upon her to do for a sister, with her purse included. You catch that on the way home. She's done those things. But what I see happens a lot of time is that for some odd, crazy reason, we can't comprehend that this thing we call masonry is an individual journey that he was brought into through the mere fraction of his grand lodge or his lodge. You know, brother was talking to me the other day, and we was talking about some of the old rituals and what they said and how they really had a deep religion construct to it. Oh yeah, I said that. A lot of the old rituals, and I have a couple, really had a strong religious tone to it. It really did. And it kind of like, I see why people say what they say. But as you look at it today, it is not necessarily that way. And I don't believe, I'm just saying, I don't believe, not knowing for sure, that those who wrote the Masonic ritual meant to do that or not. I have no clue. But as the ritual itself has transformed, you can see that a lot of those things are definitely not part of the ritualistic journey today. Masonry has indeed transformed. It will continue to do that. What we see today will no longer be that way in the next 5 or 6 years. Yeah, some of the main structures are going to stay. You know, they're going to be there because they are truly the landmarks. But some things are going to change. There's going to be some changes coming through masonry. real things. According is a spiritual experience and a spiritual growth. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Tempest, you know. So, we have to be able to see it through, grab hold to it, and build on it. And when you go into your Masonic rituals, whatever it may be, you need to be able to not just master it from an opening and closing point of view, but be able to apply it to your life so you'll have a better understanding of how you're going to deal with it as you grow to be the sublime master mason. Plain and simple. It's what it is. But but a lot of us hadn't gotten there yet. So therefore, we just, I'm a mason. I have a sign and I have a grip. I have this, and you don't even understand what you really have because you haven't really tested it. You haven't tested it, not at all. You talked about it, but you haven't put it into play. You haven't done that. So if you never did that, you don't understand what you're involved with. You have no clue how this thing actually operates because you are operating from a lower level of just saying, I'm a part of this Grand Lodge and I'm a this, I'm a that, without understanding that masonry is universal. So wherever you go, however you apply it, it's going to be what it is. KOK, Grand Lodge of New Jersey, greetings. And these are my perspective based on my journey, based on my experience, based on my relationship with a variety of brothers from various jurisdictions. Plain and simple. That's what I try to do. Good morning. I try to establish those relationships with brothers from other jurisdictions. And when I do that, then they're able to see and enjoy a different perspective of Freemasonry other than their own. I'm going to say that again. When you build those Masonic relationships with a variety of different brothers, then you're able to enjoy Freemasonry from a different perspective other than your own. And that is why brothers in Grand Lodges in particular try to build these Masonic relationships, amenities, and different things like that. Because it's a different vibe when you can go somewhere else and see somebody else do something different that you do different, but yet it's the same. A cake is called a cake, whether it's a caramel cake, whether it's a chocolate cake, upside down cake, it's still a cake. No matter what additives you put in it, the same structure is going to be, it's a cake, just as it is in Freemasonry. No matter what you add to it, how you build on it, it's still Freemasonry, because those landmarks that you have that keeps things tangible and in order are going to be there. Your landmarks are going to be the grip, the sign, and the words. No matter where you go in this world as a Mason, that grip, that sign, that word are going to be almost, if not identical, the same. The pronunciation may change or vary, but it's going to be there. Because the way the brothers grip you down in South America is not the way they grip you here in the United States. But you'll know the grip. That's a fact. You're going to know the grip. Once they hit you with it, you're going to be like, oh, okay. Oh. Yeah, you're going to know the grip. And like I told the brothers the other day, although we have the Eastern Stars here in the United States, they're not universal. The Eastern Stars are not universal here. The only thing that is universal when it comes to fraternities, as far as the Society of Freemasonry, is Freemasonry. It's the only thing that's universal. When you're talking that language, Freemasonry is a spiritual experience. We are practicing physically. I talk to God differently than I did before I was a Freemason. Oh, see, that's a whole nother thing, bro. That's a whole nother conversation too, because I would say this is that in my own personal experience, you try to give God a name. You can't give God a name. God doesn't have a name because you put God in a box when you give it a name. And it's only simple to give it a name because then you can identify it. But when it has no name, when it has no name, then you feel like, how can I identify God? Well, easily. If I'm made in the image of God, I can identify God. Understanding that God is in everything that exists. Everything that exists, God is in it. It is the beginning and the end. It is the nucleus of a thing. It cannot be perceived as male or female because God is. This is why when Moses went on the mountain, he said, I am that I am. It wasn't I'm a he or I'm a she. I am. I exist. Huh. That's a whole nother thing, brother. You had me, you was about to take me somewhere, and I didn't want to go there right now. I didn't want to go there right now. Oh no, I didn't want to go there right now. Man, I'm telling you, cause you can go down this rabbit hole, man. You can go down this rabbit hole, and you can get stuck. Literally, you can get stuck going down the rabbit hole, and you could open these different doors and be surprised at what you see in Freemasonry. He is what we are not. We are not who God is. Oh, you totally flipped that, didn't you? You had to flip that. Yep. I will agree with an addition that we are what we see in the image of God. I'm just adding to what you say because I like what you said. You know, it is, as the brother just said, it's the ultimate reality. Certainly it is. It is certainly that. So look, I've enjoyed the comments in the chat. Oh wow, okay. There's so many rabbit holes. Oh man, look. Yes. There's many doors, many man, you can go down that rabbit hole and you get lost because there are some things. I'm gonna say this. Yes, there are some things within Freemasonry that I often read and I rethink it. I'm gonna say this again for those who didn't hear me. There are some things within Freemasonry that when I read it, I have to go back and digest it, only because it can really mess you up. It can, if you're not ready for it. You know, what hole? No, I mean, it's just so many different doors you can go into. I mean, if you don't, look, I'm gonna share this with you. And I don't know what degree anybody is on or in or whatever that may looks like, but if you go into the Lodge of Perfection, let's look at those words. It is the Lodge of Perfection. We call it the LOP. And when you're talking about that delta that sits in the center of the LOP, what does that look like? Are you able to open and close that delta? Are you able to walk within it? And if so, what did you find in that delta that was so perfect about that lodge? I mean, when you indulge in that and you go in and you understand that what you are willing and saying that you are willing to do within that Lodge of Perfection, oh, whew, yeah. I'm willing to take up arms and defend and to kill and to do all. Man, look, you know, a lot of us just say the things just to be saying them, but there are some who really mean what they say. I'm gonna say this for those in the back of the room. There are some brothers who just say things just to say them, but there are some brothers who mean what they say. They mean it. So with that being said, I'm gonna say peace and blessing to everyone, and thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. And if by chance, go back and check this out again once the live go off. You probably missed something. And until next time, whatever you do, continue the journey. Peace and blessings unto you. I'm out.